Hello again, YouTube. Pam and Jet here for my second video of the day. Probably the only other video that I'm going to do for a day because I do have work. Um, but because of the fact that we've been talking so much about movies in my last couple videos and in the comment sections and stuff, um, I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of my favorite movies. And oh, I just realized that I forgot a particular one that was mentioned, but I'll pick stuff up. I'll show you movies that I have. I will explain a little bit about why these are some of my favorites. We'll start off with the one of the DVD that I, of course, forgot to bring down with me, which is Heavenly Creatures, one of Peter Jackson's early towards the middle of his career kind of films. After he did all like the serious balls out, crazy, insane stuff like Meet the Feebles and Bad Taste and Dead Alive, he did a gorgeous little film called Heavenly Creatures, starring Kate Winslet and Melanie Linsky, about these two, I think 15-year-old girls, I think they were at the time. Story in New Zealand, I think it happened in the 50s, where these two girls had a very sort of codependent, crazy kind of fantasy relationship, and the toll that it took on their lives and their families' lives, and it's a true story. One of the girls actually grew up to be the writer Anne Perry, I believe. Really good, fantastic little movie. Go find it um, and enjoy. Some other ones that I have here, I already did a video on these two, so I'm just gonna hold them up as like, that I am talking, I am mentioning that the thing that's upside down and Total Recall are two of my favorites. I love them for their insanity, for their sci-fi madness, and for their spectacular practical visual effects, as well as Total Recall being one of the first movies to use some CG effects. The whole X-ray scanner that they walked through was some of the earliest CG effects in movies, which was done very well and very good use of that. Some other stuff that we have here. American Werewolf in London. Oh, I love this movie. Again, for the effects, for the horror comedy ness of it, that the fact that John Landis is one of my favorites. Um, the fact that I really think that after this movie, you can't do another werewolf movie. Like all werewolf movies that came out after American Werewolf in London, irrelevant. This is the best. Um, where do I want to go for? Oh, okay. We'll do. This is my big fat Marx Brothers box set. This was from when they were at Universal, so their earlier films. I think this has coconuts, animal crackers, horse feathers, duck soup, and monkey business in it. And I would have to say probably horse feathers is my favorite. Probably somewhere between horse feathers and duck soup are my favorites. Um, for anybody of my generation who hasn't been acquainted with the Marx Brothers, please become, because it's. I think that there's something. I mean, I grew up on these movies. My father's a big Groucho Marx fan. Um, but there's something that I think a lot of the hipster generation would find hilarious about Groucho Marx's material. Have so much affection for. What else do we have? The Wicker Man. This movie became one of my favorites very quickly after I saw it, just because of the fact that it's got a very strong message of religious intolerance, as well as the fact that it's a musical, and nobody told me that it was a musical before I saw it, and I had wanted to see it for a number of years, and finally when I saw it, I was like, holy shit, they're singing, and Christopher Lee's in a dress. Um, Fantastic British horror, the epitome of 70s British horror. Love it. If anybody who's seen Hot Fuzz, if you didn't see this first, take a look at it, because then you'll understand Hot Fuzz a lot more. The Great Escape, One of my favorite, uh, you know, kind of ensemble movies. Um, Everybody's in this movie. I watch this movie constantly. Steve McQueen, freaking Charlie Bronson. I mean, everybody and their mothers in this movie, basically. So I'm trying to rush through these. I'm not stopping too much, but I want to leave those two for last because they're like my two favorites. But I have two Woody Allen movies on this in this grouping. Um, One, Annie Hall, of course, because it's Annie Hall, and I love it, and I love the humor of it and the truth in it, and the between this and Manhattan, those are like the two quintessential Woody Allen movies. And I know a lot of people don't love Woody Allen, um, I, but this movie, there's so much truth to those two characters, and I love. But the other Woody Allen movie that I have, nobody could possibly object to, which is What's Up, Tiger Lily, which was one of his, I think, was his first that he ever directed. Um, just complete absurd uh, rewrite, redub of a Japanese spy flick that was absurd in its own right, and then Woody Allen just came in and made it so much more absurd. If you've never seen this movie, go pick up a copy because it's comedic bliss in the most bizarre, absurd, and really like I find it. And I think I did a video on it before because of the fact that my YouTube handle Pam and Jet is a reference to this film. But I think I did already do a video on it, so we'll go. Okay. Okay. These two movies, Devil's Backbone. Uh, I know a lot of people saw Pan's Labyrinth. You really need to see this movie, and I'm glad that that I had seen this movie first. Um, Bliss, wonderful, horrifying, haunting, gorgeous little, terribly sad, terribly heartbreaking film. And of course, its sister piece, Pan's Labyrinth, very similar moods to both of these movies. Um, I really have to say that I like Devil's Backbone a little bit better, though they're both. I mean, it's like you can't have one without the other. I'm really running low on time. Oh no. I'm gonna skip a bunch of these, though. I still want to talk about The Great Dictator. I love Charlie Chaplin, and this movie is kind of severely fucked up and hilarious at the same time. It's literally it's Charlie Chaplin making fun of Hitler. Between this, City Lights, and Limelight, those would probably be my favorite of Chaplin's movies. But this one, there's something kind of important, I think, about this movie. The time that it came out, the story behind it, and the fact that it was made when it was made, and the things that it says in it, and his final speech at the end of the movie. Brilliant. Um, Chaplin was a little bit self-indulgent in his later films, but I think this is one that he was allowed to be. Oh, what else? Okay, so I'm gonna skip a bunch of other ones that I really liked, so I can have time to do these last two in the last minute that I have. These are probably my two top favorite movies of all time. Um, City of Lost Children, Jean-Pierre Jeunet, and Harold and Maude. Um, Depending on what mood I'm in, depends on which one of these is number one. But I'm gonna have to just let you guys look them up for yourselves and find them and enjoy them, and hopefully you enjoyed going through some of my little favorites with me and give you a better idea of the kind of movies that I watch. So complain and tell me how much they suck, and you could get back at me for all the things that I said about hating Avatar. Bye!